Hey y'all, it's Chloe and we're back with another video. This is the Never Ever Met Season 1, Episode 4. Y'all, I know it's only Episode 4, but I feel like we've been through the trenches with these couples. And I mean, like, we've been fighting for our lives for them, okay? I don't know what's going on or where we're going left, but it seems like every episode, another couple bites the dust, okay? We just gonna have to see how this all unfolds, but let's just get into this episode. But before we do, I need you guys to do me a favor. If this is your first time here, sit back, relax, and watch the video through. And if you like what you see and you like what you hear, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If y'all one of my lovely members or subscribers, hey y'all, how y'all doing? And by the way, happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful mothers out there who are doing the best they can with what they got. Okay, with that being said, let's just go ahead and get into it. So Millie and Greg, I'm starting to like them. And the more I watch this episode, the more I realize that I can start to read Millie. Remember, I kept saying I don't understand her, I'm not getting her, it feels like she doesn't like Greg, but that's not true. She's just been through some things that she needs to work through. But let's just go ahead and get into it. Millie and Greg are talking, okay? And she's letting him know that she wasn't quite ready for the kiss, but she does feel safe with him. And I think that's a good beginning for Millie and Greg. Now that I understand the dynamic between both of them and individually, okay? So Diamond and Millie are outside talking because they see what's going on with Chris and Jodie. And they want to check in with Sadia to see, like, girl, how you feel about this? Are you noticing it? Like, is it just us? Are we tripping? And so they decide that they're going to pull Sandia to the side and, you know, ask her how it's going. So Sandia, of course, feels some type of way. And it feels like she almost felt relieved to be able to talk about it. It was like, yeah, because da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, yeah, it's building up for her, okay? But Diamond was like, well, if you want to address it, I got your back. Because I don't want to say nothing, because if she pop off, I'ma pop off. And I thought about it for a second because Diamond initially said that she don't get along well with women, and I'm just like, it's obvious now. And I'm starting to realize that she may not get along with women because she's always in somebody's business and probably overstepping her boundaries. But I do appreciate the fact that Millie and Diamond are telling Zendaya, like, we got your back if you decide to speak on it. Zendaya decides that she's going to speak on it. She's going to talk to Chris about it because now she has a little bit of courage. She knows she got a backing, and I love that for her because she needs to stand up for herself, okay? And I love the fact that they let her know that they're in her corner. Now, some would say it's overstepping your boundaries, but Zendaya seems to be appreciative of it, so I'm gonna let it rock, okay? When she sits down to talk to Chris is when I started getting really, really frustrated. Chris is what you call a true gaslighter and a narcissist, okay? She's sitting there and she's telling him how she feels uncomfortable with the way him and Jodie behave around each other. The touching, the giggling, all the little pieces in the puzzle that he says he doesn't see an issue with, okay? Because they're friends. And I'm like, he's literally gaslighting her to tell her that how she feels doesn't really matter because that's not what it is. Instead of realizing that he needs to learn his boundaries and learn how to be respectful of his relationship, he lets her know that I don't give a F how you really feel. And then on top of that, he then calls Jodie over. Now, this is where I would have went off. Because if I come to my man to talk about a situation about how I feel about our relationship, I don't need you to call anyone else into this room to help validate how you feel about something. It triggered me, and it brought me back to when I was in a relationship with a narcissist. Okay, and whenever we would get in an argument over something, he would call somebody on the phone and be like, now, if this was the case, how would you feel? And I'm just like, it took me there. So maybe I felt a little attached to it, but nonetheless, you definitely took away her safe space. She finally built up the courage to come talk to you about a feeling that she was having. You neglected her feelings. You told her that they were invalid. You gaslit her. And then you invited the other party into the situation as if that was going to make it better. So now she's sitting there being ganged up on because Aaron doesn't care either. Because men and women can be friends. I would have been completely pissed. Because this isn't about whether or not you and her are doing something. This is about how I feel about the relationship that you have with her, especially when we're supposed to be working on building trust. Because don't forget, just the other day when we were talking about how you said you could get multiple girls and have multiple girls and this, that, and the other, you said that we are here because we're working on building trust. And right now, I'm not trusting you because for one, you're neglecting my feelings, and for two, you just sit here and broke the safe space for us to have an understanding conversation because you brought in someone else who at the end of the day cannot help our relationship. It pissed me off. I was so upset because there was no reason for her to be there. And at the end of the day, Chris, if you want her to trust you, then you have to give her something to trust. And by you calling Jodie over, really broke that trust. That safe space that she had to come talk to you about an issue, I feel like it's gone. I wouldn't trust them at all, okay? So Taronda comes in and it's time to check in with the couples because ever since Sienna done decided to throw the flowers around and have a big old blow up because she wanted to know, what did you say? What did you say? She has to check the temperature in the house because the couples are falling apart. Okay, they're just dropping like flies at this point, okay? So she starts off with Millie and Greg. And I do love the fact that Greg seems very reassuring, okay? He's really telling Millie, like, I am here for you. So much so that I invited my mother to come here and talk to you because he's 100% in. And this makes Millie realize that I need to like start letting down this guard and being vulnerable if I really want this relationship to work with Greg. She knows that she knows that she has to start unpacking some of her trauma with him, but she's really concerned about whether or not he can handle it. And I can understand where she's coming from with, you know, just uploading some of your traumas on someone, because sometimes people use them against you. And sometimes people feel like, oh, you got too much going on, I can't handle this. So I do understand her pause when it comes to it. But Greg seems like he's all in. He seems like he's 100% down for Millie. So I really can't wait for them to start going deep and get really vulnerable with each other. So she invited her sister and he invited her mom. To me, that speaks a little bit more volume than Sienna and Brandon, because at this point, they're bringing their family. Not they best friends, but I mean like they family, okay? So Chris is like, let me just check out what the men think. So Chris goes to these men and he asks them, what y'all think going on? What y'all feel like me and Jodie got something going on? And Aaron, the preacher's kid, said it appears like y'all do. Okay, it's coming off that way. And he's just like, no, I can't let her dictate my life and what I do because she's insecure. And if she's going to be insecure, she's going to always, and if I let her have this one, she's going to continue to do it further and further in the future. I need him to understand that in relationships, there's boundaries. And if the boundary starts with, I don't want you touching people when you're having conversation, if that's where the boundary starts, then that's where the boundaries start. Because it's not about you being friends with people. It's about to what extent are you guys being friendly, okay? I don't have to touch you to kiki with you. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Especially if I know that that's going to make my partner feel a type of way. But he's not trying to hear nothing that Greg is trying to get to him, relate to him, and nothing that Aaron, the preacher's kid, is trying to get to him, because he's so stuck on himself and he's so hell-bent on the fact that he really feels like he can do whatever he wants and there should be no consequences, no actions, no one should question him, no one should even have the conversation about it, because what he says goes. And that's not going to work in a relationship, because it's two people in a relationship and you have to value how the other person feels. In this instance, I don't think he will ever be in a successful relationship if he doesn't feel as though he needs to validate somebody else's feelings. And the part that got me the most is the fact that he wants to blame the women for how Sadia feels. If Sadia is coming to you telling you, I feel this way, why do you insist on making about other people putting little things in her ear? No, sir. First of all, if the men are sitting there saying that they see it, then that should be a sign that it's just not the women who are putting it in her ear. It's apparent amongst the majority. So instead of trying to find a way to fix it, you're trying to act like there's no way she could feel like this on her own. It has to be other people putting things in her ear. I don't like Chris, and I'm just going to say that like that. It's giving misogynistic, patriarchy, narcissistic, And I don't even like using the trigger words, but yeah, it's giving all of that. Gaslighting, manipulative, yes. That's Chris. So now Taronda is talking to Sienna and Brandon for their couple check-in because, baby, we already know that this relationship should be over, so I don't even understand what we're here talking about. But nonetheless, she asks them how everything is going, and she says, it's going good. And she's like, it's going good? It really is going good? They have a good platonic foundation. A platonic friendship foundation is exactly what Sienna said they had. And I'm just sitting here like, are we here to be friends or are we here to be in a relationship? Taronda's asking them questions. She's like, okay, so is there any chemistry? And Sienna was like, yes. Girl, you don't want that man. You don't want that man. So once again, when he's trying to communicate how he feels about how she communicates, okay, she tells him that he's full of ish. Sienna, respectfully, sis, you're full of ish. Because what? Even then in that moment, you could not even have a conversation. You can't even communicate without insulting someone, okay? Taronda was looking at them like, looking at her like, you're very defensive. And I was like, and she is, okay? And I hate that we have to blame it on where she's from. But if that's what y'all want to take, then we're just going to have to take it. It's because she's from the Bronx, okay? She has to be so aggressive. She has to be so abrasive. She has to be so assertive. No, she doesn't like that man, so she treats him like trash. She thinks he's weak, so she walks all over him. When Taronda asks them, do they feel like they can, work on this, build this relationship romantically? She's like, I think we can. Girl, bye. You just told that man he's full of ish. No. And he was like, I don't think so. I don't think we can work on this romantically, not at this moment. And I felt like that should have been a time that was like, okay, well, I think you guys should pack your bags and go home. But that's not what happened. They're still in the house, and I don't know what they're working on. We don't know what they're working on. If they're working on a friendship, a romantic ship, like just to keep the room, just to keep the house full, like what's the reason? What's the reason? So when Brandon goes back in the house and he's talking to the men about like, what they talked about, and they was telling him like how you a better man than me when she called you a B and all the things, I was just sitting there like, I hope she doesn't overhear this conversation and start coming outside something. You're talking about me behind my back. You're talking about me behind my back again. What did you say? What did you say? I was like, I could just see this going so wrong. Like, sir, don't even mention that girl name and what y'all talked about to nobody. Okay, she don't want you talking to nobody about her. Child, I was literally waiting for it, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So now it's time for Jodie and Aaron, the rapper, to have their check-in with Taronda. I like Taronda. I do. You want to know why? Because I feel like she sees through the BS, okay? And she basically told them that they're in a platonic friendship, okay? Because we talk about how Jodie is with Chris, okay? Because that's what this whole session about, how she's always, keying with him and how he sees no problem with it. Because, like, we can be friends with males and females. Like, you can have platonic friendships or whatever the case may be. And Taronda was like, yeah, because that's kind of like what you guys have. Opportunists. That's what I said. I said it. There's no way these two are in a real relationship, because why does this not bother Aaron? If it bothers Sienna, if it bothers everyone in the house, how does it not bother you? I'm just curious. Not even enough to like try to even think about it. Digest it a little bit. Talk to her about it. Nothing. It's just like, oh, I'm fine with it. And then on top of that, she's more connected to him than she is to you. And you have no problem with that? You have no problem that she rather talks to Chris than talk to you? She'd rather be kikiing with him than with you, because according to everyone in the house, you two are never together. I'm just saying. So then she asked them, do they have a romantic connection? And, she said, I think so. I think so. I said, is that a question? Was it a question? Like, do you think so? And he was like, I guess after a couple more dates, no, there's nothing romantic between the two of you. I don't even think y'all like each other, to be honest. Like, even as friends. I'm just saying, because y'all don't even have like a regular friendship. It doesn't seem like, from what we can see. I'm just saying, and based on what everybody else says, that y'all don't even hang out. So I'm just going to assume that you probably don't even like each other. So Millie's sister come, and I love Millie's sister because Millie's sister seems very comforting. It reminded me of my sister. She seems very here for her, understanding of her, and willing to allow Millie to express herself, but not enough to let Millie stand in her own way. Millie starts to talk about how she's been sexually violated in the past, and how she has to open up, and how she doesn't know if she's great enough for Greg. And then it started to hit me as to why she felt as though the kiss was forced, why it didn't feel natural, and why she's so guarded. Because she's been in situations where she has to protect herself physically, that she's really taking it slow, because any type of essay definitely will take its toll on you, especially mentally and emotionally. And I think that she never really completely healed from it. And I can't really express how the healing process goes and when it's time to step into those relationships, because I've never experienced it. But it does make me wonder if she is ready. And I can understand why she feels that way, because is he going to be patient enough to work through the trauma with her, to get her to a comfortable space where she can be free and express her feelings and her sexual desires with him in a comforting way? Because once you've been violated, it's easy to get triggered by anything. And this is when I started to realize that Millie does like Greg, but she's been through some things that is keeping her distance to protect herself. And I do get, is Greg gonna be able to patiently work through those things with her? And when she says, and so when her sister says, you are deserving of love, I felt that for her. I did. And you are deserving of love, Millie. And don't let the past ruin your future. Unfortunately, things happen that we have no control of, but we can't let it control us forever. So when Millie's sister goes talks to Greg, I feel like she wanted to like really fill him out, because like, what you're not about to do is play with my sister, okay? They have these conversations, and once again, Greg wins me over, okay? It really feels like he's here for her. Like, I don't know what it is about Greg, but it's very reassuring, okay? The sister approves, I approve, like we approve, okay? His mom shows up, and I'm like, that's a whole family affair. And he talks to his mom, and his mom was like, you know, she was a little concerned about him, never really being able to settle down and things like that. And she really hopes that this works. She sees that, you know, she got him making his bed and stuff. So she's like, I approve. You're rubbing off on him. And I think that's cute. We didn't really get into depth when it came to the mother and Greg and the relationship with Millie. But if mom approves, then hey, who are we to disapprove? And I love when Millie told his mother, you did a great job raising your son. I just love that. Like, I love it. Okay, I just love it. It did something for me, okay? That little seed, even though it didn't give a lot, it gave enough to me emotionally. Okay, maybe I'm just invested now. I'm invested. So now Millie and Greg, y'all gotta work. And Greg, you better be patient with Millie, okay? I changed my stance on everything. Be patient with that woman. I think she could be really, really good for you. Really, really good for you. Shay and Josh in the boom boom room again. They might as well just keep the key and stay there, because that's where they belong, okay? He's massaging her foot. It's cute. I'm rooting for them, okay? I know they've been through some stuff in the past, but if they're willing to work through it and get past it, then hey, I'm rooting for them. They seem to have chemistry. They seem to flow naturally. They seem to be able to joke. And they also seem to be able to have good conversations and work through conflict, because look, he had a baby in her and we're here now. So I'm rooting for them. So Sienna and Chris go and have their couples check-in, because we need to get down to the bottom of the things, okay? So what's really going on with them, okay? Sienna opens up about how she feels uncomfortable with how with him and Jodie's connection, okay? And he doesn't care. Her feelings are invalid whatsoever. If it's not true, then it's not valid. And I feel like he should be smart enough to know that it doesn't have to be true to validate somebody's feelings. The person is telling you, I feel a type of way. You're supposed to reassure them that that's not what it is. Not just tell them it doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter. And the fact that he kept calling her insecure, you're insecure, she's being insecure, just lets us know how he really feels about her and why he chose to be in a relationship with her. Because he feels as though she's so insecure that he will be able to do whatever he wants and say whatever he needs to say to get out of whatever position he's in, because she's so insecure that she would just take it. Sienna, I really felt so bad seeing her get emotional. I need you to stand up, sis. Stand up. You deserve better, because Chris ain't it. Men like Chris are dangerous. Misogynistic, manipulative, gaslighting, dangerous. Leave them alone. So Taronda lets them know that they have relationship experts that they probably could benefit from. He says he doesn't see a need. He doesn't see a need for it. Sienna says, well, it takes two to go. He said, I didn't say I wouldn't go. If you want to go, I'll go. You basically just said there was no purpose in going. Stop with it. Stop with the gaslighting. Like, I don't believe anything Chris said. Nothing. I don't believe he's there to build trust. I don't really feel like he cares about Cyndia the way he claims he does, because if he did, he would treat her a lot better. He would validate her feelings. He would set boundaries, and he will be understanding and respectful towards her. And I have yet to see him do any of that. So Jodie is cooking and everyone's in the kitchen getting ready for dinner. Jodie asks Chris, out of all the couples, she asked Chris, how'd everything go? And I feel like Chris was being shady. Okay, Chris was like, when you're dealing with someone who's so simple-minded, or did he say weak-minded? One or the other. And she lets people that she's only known for 14 minutes get in her brain, this, that, and other. Was very passive-aggressive. So when Diamond said, it's not no one getting in her brain, that's how she feels. That's what she said. I understood why she did it. She did it because he was trying to throw shots, not only at Sienna by calling her weak-minded or simple-minded, but also at the people around them, letting them know, like, yeah, I already know what's up. I know it's y'all. I know it's y'all. And Diamond was the only one who I think was like, no, sir, it's not us. She feels that way. We just here to back her up. Everyone feels that way. She got upset because no one stood up and was like, we feel that way, we feel that way, we feel that way, which is why I'm like, which is where I have to say, Diamond, you can't expect people to fight the fight with you because you want to jump in the ring. You jumped in the ring, now handle it. You wanted to be in the business, you in the business. Don't expect for everyone to get in there, because if they wanted to, they would have spoke up and they didn't. Now she's judging everyone around them, so much so that she even thinks that her man, Aaron, is fake, because he didn't say how he really felt. I feel like you took offense to what was said, so you said something. Everyone else decided that they didn't want no parts. Now you looking at them sideways. You jumped in the ring. So now fight it out. Now, me and my husband went back and forth about this because he tried to tell me that she need to mind her business, okay? It's none of her business, none of her business. But I do feel like he was being passive-aggressive by making that comment in front of everyone. He's basically calling them out. That's what he did. And she took the bait and she went for it. But no one backed her up, so she got to stand in it on her own. And now she's feeling some type of way. Child, these people is all over the place. All over the place. Jodie got triggered. It's all cap. It's all cap. It's all lies. I don't think it's all cap. It's all lies. I don't think it's all cap, and I don't think it's all lies. It's definitely something there. Aaron decided that this is his moment to finally say something. Hey, why did you guys pick now to have this conversation at dinner? They didn't pick now. Chris answered the question that your woman asked him in a very passive-aggressive way in front of everyone. So therefore, the conversation was started. They didn't bring it up. He brought it up. And Diamond finished it. Child. Y'all let me know. Do y'all think Diamond should have just mind her business? Or do you think she had every right to like step in and say, you're not talking about me? We're not putting nothing in her ear. She feels that way. She feels that way. What y'all think? Y'all let me know. Either way, I'll be back next week. I'll be back next week for another review. Don't forget to like the video. Please like the video. Hit the subscribe button. Join the family. We have fun over here, okay? And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.